How's the defense looking right now?
Work in progress. Work in progress. I think there's some good things and a lot of things to correct, but just trying to get to where we could use our personnel the right way and obviously come up with stops and come up with takeaways.
We've seen Tyler Batty be a leader the last couple of years. What has he done? What does he do for this program in leadership sense?
I mean, when you're a guy that is playing, all the snaps. You're a guy that's producing, but you're also a guy that has influence on the team. It's important that he use that in the right way, and he has for the most part. Is been a guy that people will follow. Been a guy that speaks up when things need to be said, and his voice carries a lot of weight. And so I think the boys respond to him in the right way, and he's done a really good job with using his influence to get us headed in the right direction.
As far as coaches go, with something like that, do you let that kind of shake out with the guys and see who kind of steps into those roles and then work with them in that sense, or do you just try and make sure that happens in each unit? How do you do that as far as coaches go?
It a little bit of both. It happens in all the units. You've all got a guy or two that sticks out a little bit more. Some guys kind of aspire to it, and then some guys really just demand the respect and the attention and have a little bit more influence. And so, as far as the guys that have influence, not all starters are guys that enjoy being in that role. Their leadership's a little bit more of follow what this guy's doing, quiet leadership type. But then there's other guys that do a good job understanding that there's a lot demanded from them, and they show up when they need to in order to set a good example and all that stuff.
Well, the way this team's organized, you have to have that, don't you? That's what you guys, what Kalani wants, and what you guys want.
Definitely. It's from the top down. I mean, philosophically, and the way that Kalani has it. I mean, we want the team to be guided by the team and leadership, and the players have a lot of say. But also, we've got a lot of return missionaries that come back with a lot more experience, a lot more. Some of these guys go out and they give two years of their lives, and it's not just in service of others, but it's leadership positions, right? You got district leaders, zone leaders, assistant presidents, and so there's a lot of guys that have the ability and know exactly what it is that's expected of them, and we've got a lot more of those guys on our team than most people, than all people.
Who have been some of the top performers along the defensive line in camp?
It's really just been it's been really by committee. I mean, the first two groups I felt have been pretty solid as far as just their production. There's still a lot of mistakes in the third group. They're getting better. We're expecting to get some snaps out of some of those guys, but it's more of just kind of guys quietly doing their jobs. And I mean, we've got a D-line crew that not too many people's talking about specific guys, right? Except for Batty, maybe. And so we've got guys that are quietly doing their jobs really, really well, and it's making us play better as a defense.
How did you come out health-wise out of the scrimmage, defensively, personnel-wise?
Yeah, we're I mean, just the bang, the shoulders and the bruises and all the stuff that you'd expect. But other than that, we were healthy for the most part. I can't think of anything that was serious. It was all just, okay, let's hold this guy out for a day or two and let him get his shoulder back, and we'll be back. But nothing serious.
More on the health front, you're about halfway to game day. How do you feel about having the guys you want ready for game one?
Feel really good, actually. And now it's just this refining, retuning, just making sure the packages are in the right place. But the guys that we got back that were not healthy are playing at a high level right now. And so when that first team defense is on the field, and I mean, I feel like it's a really, really good defense. And so keeping those guys healthy and keeping them moving, I think is what we're trying to do here, and just make sure that we're getting all the practice that we need to get better, and but keeping everybody healthy. Right now, I mean, myself as a coach, all the other coaches, we're going to look really good if this group gets to the first game. If we start to lose guys, we're going to look like bad coaches. We're kind of at that point right now.
Where's the other safety spot opposite Malik right now looking for you?
I think Ed's actually got those guys still battling out right now, and there's a lot of competition, good competition. So there are 2 or 3 guys right now that can rotate at that spot, and that we feel good about. But Michael Harper came into camp a little banged up, and so he's starting to come back to where we anticipated that he'd be. But I apologize, I don't have the depth chart in front of me with all those guys. But as we've talked about it, there's a good 2 or 3 guys right now that we expect to contribute.
How valuable is it having a healthy Lorenzo Falatea back along the defensive line?
It's been real good. I mean, his experience, his leadership, but also he came back bigger, and so we always kind of kept him, in the 80, 280, 285 range, just because we played him at D end and at D tackle, and now we've got him over 300 pounds, and he's playing really well at D tackle. So, he's a great personality to have in the room. I mean, he's a great leader. He's a guy that has a lot of influence. He's a guy that speaks up, but also just knows the defense in and out, and can teach it to all the younger guys, and does a really good job. So it's been huge to get Zoe back.
How has guys like Keenan Peely and Peyton Wilgar looked coming back from injuries from last year?
Yeah, they look good. I mean, they're back on pretty close to on par with what they were last year. Feel pretty good, but you definitely see a difference when those guys are on the field. And now with the way that Ben Bywater's playing, I mean, we're Max Tooley. I mean, we're looking like a really good defense when those guys are on the field.
Can you tell that Gabe Judy Lally was a starting corner in the SEC?
Oh,
Out there?
yeah. I mean, he's so savvy. Just coming out, you're so savvy, and in order for you to be a good player, you've got to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and just understanding the game. And he's really good with all of those. He understands where his deficiencies are, if he has any, and plays to them. And so you'll see where, just the way that he plays. He understands the game. He knows what all the coverages that we've got. I mean, it was easy for him to get, and it was easy for him to refine all the things that we wanted to change, right? Like you cover 3 in one program versus cover 3 in another, depending on how you're teaching it, is a little bit different. And so the concepts that we've got and the way that we want to teach certain coverages, he's gotten it, he understands it, and it's it's as if he's been with us this whole time. So he's really intelligent kid.
You get to be the coach representative. We got a press conference later about another NIL situation that they're announcing. How do you see that as a coach impact the kids in the NIL stuff? Because we've been through it for a while now. What do you see as coaches? For us, it's been a big positive. I think it's been a big positive, and I think the more that we can get the players, the better. And we haven't really been a team where 1 or 2 guys kind of takes $8 million each, and it's just not the way that BYU is ever going to be, I don't think. But we do have guys that are getting NIL deals, and they're actually, you saw Jaron share his with all the old linemen. Stuff like that happens with us, and I think it's a cool thing. But getting the players more, I think, is a good thing, and NIL's been really good for us. How important, one more thing, game day's coming, how important is it to be prepared for the humidity, for circumstance, heat, humidity, those types of things when you go into on the road?
Yeah, it's hard to replicate any of that stuff. We've got to stay hydrated. We've got to we do our best with whatever ideas we've got to make sure that we're getting the humidity and the heat and all that stuff. But really, it's just about staying hydrated and making sure that we're rotating so guys aren't cramping in the game. But it's hard to replicate that. It's going to be the hottest part of the day in September. It's going to be really hot, so we'll be ready for it.
Last couple questions.
How many defensive linemen do you feel comfortable right now that could play in a game of consistency?
We have 18 guys in camp, and feel pretty good with 14 of them right now to play in games and actually give us something. We're probably only going to travel 10 or 11, and so we're at the point right now where we've got to start looking at who's actually going to get in the game and contribute and play, and then the other guys just have to stay ready, because like we saw last year, injuries happen, and you've got to stay deep and ready for when your number's called.
Anything else?
Hey, thanks, E.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.